The coaching staff changes that we expected for the New Orleans Saints are underway, with several coaches being informed that they will not be retained. We'll break it all down, and we're going to hear from two interviews that I had today on Radio Row. First of which is going to be Trey Wingo. He talked a bit about the quarterbacks that the New Orleans Saints could pursue, and he talked about Dennis Allen as a head coach as well, and got an exclusive with Ian Book as well, who says he wants to battle for the New Orleans Saints starting quarterback position himself. We got all that and a little bit of lagniappe for you on today's episode of Locked On Saints.
You are Locked On Saints, your daily New Orleans Saints podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is good, Who Dat Nation and Who Dat family? Welcome into another episode of Locked On Saints, live from Radio Row, your daily podcast covering your New Orleans Saints, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks as always for making Locked On Saints your first listen of the day every day. And don't forget that we are free and available on all platforms, including on YouTube as well. I'm your host, Ross Jackson, at Ross Jackson Nola on Twitter, Canal Street Chronicles, Locked On NFL, and here with you every single Monday through Friday on Locked On Saints. And today's episode of Locked On Saints is brought to you by Get Upside. Go and download the app for free wherever you get your apps. And don't forget the promo code TOUCHDOWN so that you can get 25 cents back per gallon or more on your first fill up. Now, the New Orleans Saints have been very, very busy. We mentioned that there would be some expected coaching staff changes going on, and now they are underway with a few surprises, a couple of question marks for me in terms of what the New Orleans Saints have done. So I want to start off here by taking a look at the coaches that have been informed that they will not be retained. And here's where I have a big question. Curtis Johnson. Curtis Johnson is somebody that has been with the New Orleans Saints for a while, 2006 to 2011, went away for a moment before returning to the Saints in 2017, and you saw the growth of guys like Michael Thomas, as well as, of course, Brandon Cooks. Well, a little bit before that was Brandon Cooks, but you know what I mean. So you've seen all of these players that they have been able to develop as receivers, the ability for these undrafted guys to develop, so on and so forth, and Coach CJ has been a big part of that, but he has been informed that he will not be retained, and right now, there's not really any kind of indication of who the next wide receiver coach is going to be, although John Morton is a name that I've heard a couple times over here, so we'll see. But again, I'm a little bit removed here in Los Angeles, so we'll figure all of that out. The next big one that I want to highlight is Brendan Nugent, who, of course, was the offensive line coach. He has actually already been replaced. I thought that maybe if this move happened, then you would end up seeing instead maybe Zach Strief jump into that spot, but it looks like in terms of the offensive line coach that he's going to be replaced by Doug Marrone, who was with the New Orleans Saints 2006, 7, and 8 as not only their offensive line coach, but also their offensive coordinator. Had a lot of success as their offensive coordinator, of course, but I didn't think, as the news broke in the morning, that he would be somebody that would be coming back to the New Orleans Saints in the capacity of an offensive coordinator, but instead that if he came back as an offensive line coach, that would make a lot of sense. He knows the culture, he knows the team, he knows what it is that this team wants to strive for. He was there for the tone-setting year of 2006, all of that. So it's a great addition to have, but it didn't feel like he would be a good fitted offensive coordinator here this many years later, and it seems like the New Orleans Saints are feeling the same way, so he is now back on the staff, but as the offensive line coach in place of Brendan Nugent, who has been informed that he will not be retained. A couple of other folks that were also informed, offensive assistant Jim Chaney, as well as strength and conditioning coach Dan Dalrymple. So these guys are now on their way out. Dalrymple, has been around with the Saints since 2006, so that's a big shift for them. All right, so those are the coaches that the New Orleans Saints informed would not be retained. Now, another factor that we've kind of been able to confirm now is that there will be a search for an offensive coordinator for the New Orleans Saints. Pete Carmichael will remain on staff, but he will not remain on staff as the offensive coordinator. We have heard that a bunch. That seems to be confirmed at this point. So there's a coordinator search on both sides of the ball. And the Saints have already begun with their first interview on the defensive coordinator side, where they have probably the best internal candidates. But remember that they're still going to be extensive, right? They're still going to look at all of these other candidates. So they did so on Wednesday by interviewing Aubrey Pleasant. Aubrey Pleasant most recently was the Detroit Lions defensive backs coach as well as pass game coordinator. Before that, he was the cornerbacks coach from 2017 to 2020 for the Los Angeles Rams, which includes the Jalen Ramsey year, or the Jalen Ramsey time, in which I thought Aubrey Pleasant did a great job with the corners over there. So this would be a really interesting hire for the Saints, but it would fit the mold if they went this way, right? As opposed to what we expect, which will be to elevate from internal candidates, guys like Ryan Nielsen, guys like Chris Richard, for instance. This would be one that would kind of fit the bill in terms of what the Saints are looking for. They're not looking for a play caller over on the defensive coordinator side. They're looking for a developer, and Aubrey Pleasant absolutely fills that role. He's a former player, of course. He is someone that has been around the NFL from a coaching capacity for a while. He started with the Cleveland Browns in 2013 as a coaching intern, and then he moved on up to offensive assistant with the Washington football team, and then ended up moving over to defensive quality control coach there, and then, of course, getting started as the cornerbacks coach for the Los Angeles Rams in 2017. So he'd be a really, really interesting one. He just recently worked with Aaron Glenn as well, so he knows a little bit of the flavor of what the Saints like at that coaching position. So it could be a really, really interesting one that has a little bit of cohesion to it, or synergy to it, I should say. And I think that would be something that the New Orleans Saints would find very appealing. All right, so that's all the updates that we have so far when it comes to the coaching staff. Expect some late-breaking things and all of that to also come about. But for the New Orleans Saints, the big thing is going to be finding those coordinators and finding their next quarterback. And I talked to Trey Wingo today here on Radio Row, and I asked him specifically about that. What do you think the Saints are going to do at the quarterback position going into 2022? And, of course, he had a much more educated understanding of all of it in terms of what he's hearing, but didn't shy away from what the New Orleans Saints could do, despite the salary cap, which he understands is not real. So we'll talk about that and much more as we continue on with today's episode of Locked On Saints. And while the Saints are in search of their next quarterback, you should be in search of savings, and we're going to help you find them. It's with the Get Upside app at select gas stations. You can save some money at the pump. Never pay full price when you're filling your tank again, because you're going to get cash back with the Get Upside app from select gas stations. All you have to do is download the app, take a picture of the receipt, and it's going to put some money in an account for you that you can withdraw at any time. You can have it come out to your bank account. You can have it go to a PayPal. You can get Amazon gift cards and other brands as well. So go check it out. It's the Get Upside app. Don't forget the promo code Touchdown, so you get 25 cents back per gallon or more on your first fill-up. That's promo code Touchdown for 25 cents back or more on your first fill-up. Some folks are getting $200, $300 back by saving up and putting stuff into the account there, and then being able to withdraw it however they like, whenever they like. No catch over on that side. So go and check them out. It's the Get Upside app. You can get it for free from the App Store, Google Play, wherever it is that you get your apps. And don't forget that promo code Touchdown for 25 cents back per gallon or more on your first fill-up. All right, Who Dat Nation, continuing on with today's episode of Locked On Saints. Thanks, as always, for making Locked On Saints your first listen of the day. Let us not delay. I got to talk to Trey Wingo earlier today, and we were talking a bit about what the New Orleans Saints should look to do, both at the coaching positions when it comes to offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. Talked about the Dennis Allen hire, and, of course, we also got to talk about the quarterback spot. He has an interesting idea around Aaron Rodgers, and, of course, talked a bit about the Saints' salary cap situation and why he's not concerned about it. How do you feel about that head coach hire elevating Dennis Allen from defensive coordinator?
Well, it's funny, right? Because before he took over for Rob Ryan, the defense was not good. They've been top 14 every year since he's taken over. And I think the last 4 years under Allen, I think they've never been worse than 7th.
Right.
And I think this year they were 4th overall and 7th in scoring, or 7th overall and 4th in scoring. I can't remember one, but they're really good. And it's funny because for all the years that Drew and Sean were there together, it was really about the offense, and the defense was, make a stop. Yeah. 1 or 2 stops.
Yep.
It is completely flipped. New Orleans is going to have to, they're going to have to go back to the Dome Patrol days.
Yeah.
Okay? Of all those great linebackers, because I don't know what their ability to score points is going to be, because I don't know who their quarterback is going to be.
So that's the next piece of it all, right? You get the head coach in place. They're saying priority number 1 is the quarterback. There's a lot of options out there, potentially.
There are
right?
potentially
Russell
a lot of
Wilson,
really good options.
Yeah, lots
Aaron
of these
Rodgers,
guys that could be on the move.
This may be the wildest veteran quarterback offseason we've ever seen.
Right.
Russell looks like he's moving. Aaron Rodgers looks like he's moving. Deshaun Watson might be moving for a variety of reasons that might be uncomfortable.
Right.
But he is a proven commodity if they can just figure out what the downside will be with not only the NFL but the legal system. The Saints got to find a guy. I mean, they got to find it. They got to find a guy. I don't think you want to go in with Ian Book and Trevor Siemian.
Yeah.
That is that. And I love Taysom Hill. I don't think anybody loved Taysom Hill more than Sean Payton.
Right.
I think Taysom Hill is a wonderful change of pace guy. He's just not a starting quarterback. The only person that thought he was a starting quarterback in the NFL was Sean Payton, or Sean told Taysom that to get him to sign the contract. Taysom is better as a change of pace guy. He can hurt you in so many more ways, and I think he can hurt the team as a actual starting quarterback.
Yeah. What about the return of Jameis Winston as a potential there?
They were great, but Jameis is going to have suitors.
Right.
I mean, like, it's not like he sort of cleaned himself up a little bit in terms of the interceptions. He only had one YOLO throw that I can think of. Was that game in Carolina.
Yep.
That was the old app. I know that guy. So he's going to have options. Like, you could bring him back, but you're going to have to work to bring him back.
Yeah.
I mean, suddenly Tampa Bay needs a quarterback. In the same division. And he had some success there. And if he can eliminate the 30 for 30,
right.
He might be a really good option in an offense he knows very well there. So you can bring him back, but it's not like you're going to have to work for it.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems that the veteran quarterbacks on the move, Russell Wilson has been connected to the Saints already, but now Aaron Rodgers potentially stepping into the conversation there. If he wants out of Green Bay, he might have played his last game as a Packer. We don't know yet. If that's the case, is there the reality that the Saints could go after a guy like Aaron Rodgers?
Well, people will say salary cap, right?
Right. But we know.
The salary cap is like a bowl of Jell-O. Okay, you can make it anything you want.
Right.
Take a chunk out of here, put it into a signing bonus instead of this.
Yep.
Like when the Chiefs signed Mahomes to that supposedly $500 million contract, they created cap space.
Yeah.
How do you sign a guy to a $500 million contract? Create cap space.
Save money.
because there's math and then there's salary cap math, and they are not the same. It's like saying a tofu burger is the same as a Wagyu beef burger.
Right.
It ain't the same sandwich.
No.
So, yeah, I mean, you look at people would say the cap. You could make it work if you wanted to.
Yeah.
You could.
Yeah.
You could make it work if you wanted to.
Yeah. Is there anybody that does it the way that the New Orleans Saints do it? I feel like we're in the offseason every year, and I'm telling people it's not as bad as it looks. Yeah, it's $110 million, $74 million. Is there any other team that does it the way that Mickey Loomis and the Saints do it?
Dallas has done that every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
The Rams are interesting.
Yeah.
Because they absolutely fly in the face of conventional wisdom on how to build a team.
Yeah.
They're in a string of 7 straight drafts where they don't have a first-round pick. Technically, they allegedly have a first-round pick in 2024, but if I know Les Snead, he'll probably get rid of that. They got rid of a first-round pick to get Brandon Cooks.
Right.
And then they got rid of 2 picks to draft Jared Goff, 2 first-round picks, and then they traded Goff and 2 more first-round picks to get Matt Stafford. So, there's only been one longer stretch without a first-round pick in NFL history, and that was the George Allen over-the-hill gang in Washington.
Yeah.
Went 11 straight drafts without a first-round pick.
Wow.
So.
Well, I think the Rams are probably going to be breathing down on it because now here they are in a Super Bowl. And speaking of the Super Bowl, a lot of synergy between the city of New Orleans, the state of Louisiana. Now betting is legal. Thank goodness. We've been waiting for it for a long time. Caesars, Superdome, Caesars here. 2,000 different ways to bet on the Super Bowl. You have been talking about today your favorite prop bet. Do you mind giving our listeners that as well?
Yeah. There's a couple of them. We haven't had a safety in a Super Bowl since Super Bowl 48 when the Broncos snapped it over Peyton's head on the first play from scrimmage, and they never recovered. It's the longest stretch we've had without a safety in Super Bowl history. So that might be a good prop bet. The other one is the old, we call it the refrigerator Perry bet because that was the first time it was put up at Caesar's Palace. It's only happened twice, or to 2 different players, rather, that we've had a defensive player score. Fridge and then Mike Vrabel caught 2 touchdown passes over 2 different Super Bowls from Tom Brady. By the way, Mike Vrabel has the greatest stat line in the history of the NFL.
Okay.
As a linebacker, he has been thrown to 12 times. He has 12 catches for 12 touchlights.
Oh, my
It's
goodness.
the greatest stat ever.
Saints need wide receiver help, by the way.
Braves is a little chunkier than he was in his linebacker days. But that's my favorite stat of all time. He's been thrown to 12 times. He has 12 catches for 12 touchdowns and 2 of them in Super Bowls. It's crazy.
That's absolutely insane.
It's nuts.
Absolutely insane. For more, everybody, you've got everything that you need over at Caesars Sportsbook. Make sure you go check it out. Chief Trends Officer, Brand Ambassador here with us, Trey Wingo, as we are here, Radio Row, Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Trey, thanks so much for joining us.
You got it, man.
Appreciate you. Fantastic stuff with Trey Wingo there. So refreshing to hear somebody else understand the salary cap situation around the New Orleans Saints the way that we do, isn't it? Love to hear that, especially somebody of the stature of Trey Wingo. Fantastic insight all over the place. He mentioned in an earlier interview that you can hear over on Locked On Packers as well as Locked On Today that it's very, very possible he believes that Aaron Rodgers has played his last game as a Green Bay Packer. Could his next game in the NFL be as a New Orleans Saint? Who knows? I don't think so. I'll tell you that right now. But who knows? Who knows? Coming up next, though, when it does come down to that quarterback conversation, there's one in the building already that wants to compete and wants to make sure that he gets the opportunity that he feels that he deserves this offseason, and that is Ian Book, the former Notre Dame quarterback. Got his first start last year with the Miami Dolphins. Didn't go the way that you expected or way that he might have wanted or that anyone might have wanted, but that came down to conditions more than anything else. He's going to talk about that as well as how he feels about the Dennis Allen hire here in just a moment as we continue on with and wrap up today's episode of Locked On Saints. But before we get to that, of course, we have our friends over at Bet Online who have a ton of fantastic odds, lines, and prop bets for you to check out. Is somebody going to do the Yankee Shuffle? Are you going to have a touchdown drive that is shorter in terms of time of possession than the time it takes to sing the national anthem? Lots of great stuff that you can get in on. I love Super Bowl props, and the best way to get in on them is, of course, over at betonline.net. It's the best spot for all of your sports scores, podcasts, and news. And, of course, you can get more than just football there. They've got basketball, women's and men's hoops, as well as pro and college hoops as well. You've got hockey, you've got baseball, you've got UFC, you've got boxing, and you get all the updates that you need on your current game. So go and check them out, and don't wait. Don't wait. You want to make sure that you get to take advantage of all of the offers that are available through the 2022 season. You can do that over at betonline.net, where the game starts. Let's get it, Who Dat Nation. Wrapping up today's episode with an exclusive talkback interview that I had with Ian Book. Got to sit right next to the guy and ask him some questions about how he feels about the Dennis Allen hire, how he felt about his rookie season, the Miami Dolphins game, and if he's going to be competing for that quarterback spot in 2022. Here's what he had to say. Joined today by New Orleans Saints quarterback, former Notre Dame quarterback as well, Ian Book. Ian, so glad to have you here, buddy. How you holding up?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Glad to be here with you. How has the Super Bowl week experience been for you so far?
It's been awesome. Got here this morning and just to see all that goes into this.
Yeah.
I was talking earlier. There's so much more behind the scenes that you don't know about. Yeah. And just to come down here for the weekend is pretty sweet and see everything going on. And first off season for me, first Super Bowl week for me. So it's really cool. I'm excited about it.
That's awesome. You had a very adventurous rookie season. Of course, you had that moment where you got the opportunity to start against the Miami Dolphins, Monday Night Football, and then all the COVID concerns that were around that and everything. How was that opportunity for you to be able to get out there and step under the lights?
Awesome. Yeah, it's just the world we're living in now with COVID.
Yeah.
You got to be ready. I knew it was coming. We had 4 quarterbacks, which is unheard of,
right,
in the NFL, and it was a blessing to get drafted by the Saints and be able to be a part of that quarterback room. And 1 week we co down with 25 guys with COVID, and we got a Monday night primetime game, and it was just an honor just to be out there, and it's so excited. Didn't go the way any of us wanted it to go, but just to be out there to get the experience, yeah. I feel like I learned a lot on the field, and I'm really excited for next year. And,
yeah.
I feel like I learned a lot by being able to do it, because everything I was doing that year was watching reps. I probably watched a million reps, so it was cool to get out there and play again.
That's awesome. You got an opportunity early on in the season. A lot of reports came out during the Carolina Panthers game about helping with substitutions. What was that experience like? And I'm sure that still had some benefit to you as well as you went through.
Yeah, just being able to do something to help out the team. You play a lot in college, and then the NFL, you never know. Everyone's great. You gotta work for that spot. And even just by week 3, whatever it was, week 4, again another COVID situation where we needed someone to step up and relay the personnel. And for the Saints, the personnel's a really big deal.
Yeah.
We try to get mismatches by switching up our personnel, and they wanted me to echo it so everyone could hear it and be in charge of that on the sideline. So it was cool. First little thing I got to do to help out the team. Yeah,
that's awesome. And you mentioned in the COVID season and sort of this world that we're in about always being prepared. I know you're moving into your first offseason in the NFL now. You talked a little bit about your time with the New Orleans Saints already, but I want to hear a little bit, if you don't mind, about just your relationship with Sean Payton, who of course has stepped away for this 2022 season. How was it working with him for that season?
It was great, and it was short. I wish could be with him more, just because of just the way he does things, I learned in a year is pretty special. He's a grinder. He works hard, and he's got the football mind, and not everybody has that. And just to see him, work with quarterbacks, come in and talk, write plays on the board, talk about what he sees, and then most importantly, his memory is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I was only there for the season, but to hear him just sit there and be like, oh yeah, we ran this play 8 years ago on the right sideline against blah, blah, I'm like, and then he pulls it up in a second. I'm like, it's pretty special. So it was cool, though, that I could have, him, as a mentor and a coach for a season. So excited for him and what he does next. And I'm not going to be surprised if he comes back to football just from knowing him for a year. Yeah. He loves the game, and I know it's a grind, and he'll enjoy this year off, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I have the feeling he'll enjoy TV for a little while if he gets that opportunity, but he'll eventually be back.
Yeah. But it was cool. It was an honor, and just to learn from him was pretty sweet.
That's awesome. And now the New Orleans Saints, as of just this week, announcing that Dennis Allen, former defensive coordinator, will now be the head coach. What's your relationship with Dennis Allen, and how excited are you that he's going to be taking over the reins?
Yeah, it's great. I'm excited for him, and obviously he's a defensive guy. He was the defensive coordinator, but just to see the way he ran the team the week that Sean was out with COVID was pretty cool. And I imagine we're going to get that same coach, and he cares, and the guys play hard for him, and I'm excited for him. So, excited to get back to work, excited for him, and I think we got the team that can do it.
That's awesome.
Hopefully we're in this game next year.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll Glendale, Arizona, and then I'll be interviewing you then, and we're talking about, hey, you're a little busy this week, but I appreciate you making time. You playing the quarterback position, you got the opportunity to see Dennis Allen's defense a ton, and obviously you see it a lot different than a lot of us with the experience that you have. What can you say about Dennis Allen's defense as a quarterback?
Yeah. First thing I would say is they do a great job getting to the quarterback, whether that's, 5-man rush or 4-man rush. We got the guys that can do it, and it's a creative package, that gets to the QB, and we showed that this year, especially in the second half of the season with a ton of sacks. So they get to the quarterback fast, and then the DBs do an unbelievable job of disguising coverage. And I would say, for me, I remember like their third down package day when I was running scout. Yeah. It's confusing. They do a great job, and they play well together. They know where they need to be at the right time, and they trust each other in terms of communication, which is huge. So, and they fly around. There's like a certain energy to the defense for the Saints, I can tell.
Yeah.
They play for each other. They have fun, and they really fly to the ball and play hard, and they kind of have a cool swag to them, which is really cool. And I think that energy just helps boost our whole entire team. We needed that this year with these guys, and they brought it.
Yeah, and that helps the offense too, right? To see that attitude, to see that swagger.
Fired up, no doubt, 100%. It works back and forth, and those are the ebbs and flows in the game that you need, and you got to, it's good to see that on defense too. It just brings energy to the offense.
Yeah, I'm sure it feels nice as a quarterback to know, hey, we have this defense that's going to get the ball back in our hands.
100%,
like that, right?
Yeah. Never a doubt that we were going to get either a big play from somebody or the ball back or a strip set. It happened, it felt like every game. So it's pretty cool to have that and know that their defense is going to give us points or another opportunity to score. It's pretty special.
You're going into the offseason here. What's the focus this offseason? Just is it kind of a recovery situation at this point after your first year of the NFL, or is it more prep for the next thing?
Prep for the next thing. Obviously they played one game and came out healthy. So I'm healthy, and it's the first time I've had an offseason. I'm trying to figure out how I like it so I can get in the routine. It's a good amount of time off. So I've spent a good amount of time with family and got a vacation coming up in Hawaii. And then once that's over, I'll really get it picked up and get throwing and get working with these guys. But for me, it's about working on my skill set and then, figuring out what they do on offense and seeing what the playbook is like. Is it different? Is it the same? And taking that next step.
Yeah, it's a little bit of recharge the body,
That's
recharge the mind, and then
be able
to get everything in. That's great. Ian Book, New Orleans Saints quarterback, here with us. Just a couple more quick questions for you, because I want to talk to you a bit about Ronald Curry. He's somebody whose career I've followed quite a bit, Tar Heel fan for a long time.
Nice.
Got to see him do both sports and be incredible at both of them. But when you are not both sports, two sports, and it was incredible. There's more than two sports. I'm sorry, there's more. But now he's moving into, or has moved into, this quarterback coach position. There's an open offensive coordinator position, we think, at this moment. We'll see how that all goes with everything. But regardless of that, what is your experience working with Ronald Curry?
It was great. It was new for both of us. My first year in that quarterback room, his first year as the quarterback coach. So it was cool because I felt like I was his guy, and he told me that before. I was his rookie, so it was really cool. He took me under his wing immediately. He was always willing to work with me extra hours, which was awesome for me. I needed someone like that. we had a quarterback room that was doing the same, but those guys got things that they got to worry about. So just to have RC there with me was huge, and he taught me a lot. He's done it at all the levels. He's done it at a few positions, not just quarterback. He knows how to play the game, and he works hard. So I'm excited. Whatever they do, I'm excited to get to work, but I'm excited to work again with RC, and I know he pushes me to be a better football player and be a better man. So I really appreciate that from him.
That's awesome. You have a competitive fire. You are a competitor. I've always loved it about you when you were playing at Notre Dame, and then you can see it in you throughout that Miami Dolphins game, as well as I got to see you during training camp and everything as well. Are you looking at this offseason as an opportunity to perhaps step into a starting role, or are you just kind of letting it be whatever?
No. Well, things will unfold the way they unfold, and that's kind of always been my mentality. I'm going to take care of what I got to take care of, whatever the situation is. But yes, I plan on going in there and getting reps and show what I can do.
Leave no doubt, right?
Last year, leave no doubt. I'm excited. I just want to go in there and play and show it. And obviously, the Miami game that I got the opportunity for wasn't what I wanted. But it is what it is. And again, I'm just excited to get out there and get to work, get some reps, battle with all the quarterbacks. That's fun. It makes us all play better. And I just feel so much more comfortable. You get a year under your belt, really makes a big difference. So I'm excited for it.
Absolutely, man. Well, I'm excited to see you, man. I'll be out there at training camp.
Good.
Excited to cover all throughout the games. Everybody's pulling for you, man, and love the fact that you ended up in New Orleans, and can't wait to see what's next for you.
Thanks. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, buddy. Ian Book, New Orleans Saints quarterback, Ross Jackson, Locked On Saints here with the Locked On Podcast Network here through Radio Row all week. We got you covered. Your team every day. Absolutely love the confidence of Ian Book. I can't get over it. I mean, actually sitting next to the guy, getting the opportunity to talk to him, especially after talking through him through Zoom for the last year since he's been a New Orleans Saint and all that. It was great to be in person with him and talk to him a little bit. And you can feel his confidence, right? He carries himself like somebody that wants to compete, and he says he's going to compete. And you want to see that kind of confidence for sure. So a lot of respect for the guy and rooting for him, right? Obviously, you're rooting for him. You never root against any of these guys. And Ian Book certainly is somebody that has the drive and the heart to turn around and be the one that surprises the world in that way, or the ones that are doubting him at least. So there's Ian Book for you. Such a great pleasure to get to catch up with him. Great pleasure to catch up with Trey Wingo. Great pleasure as always to catch up with you. We got one more episode this week. Be another one coming here live from Radio Row, or not live, but coming at you from Radio Row, and we're recorded here. So we got a lot to talk about as the Saints continue to look to fill their offensive and defensive coordinator spots. We'll talk about some more options, and we'll hit up some more names that you need to know as well. But hopefully those hires get done quickly. And if they do, you'll know about it right here on Locked On Saints. Thank you very much, as always, making Locked On Saints your first listen of the day every day. Don't forget to go and check out the Locked On Bets podcast wherever you get your podcast. Your boy Q, handicapping expert Lee Sterling. Go and make yourself some money with the dudes. So go and check them out over at Locked On Bets. As always, y'all, thank you very much for being here and for making me a part of your day, for everything you need around the New Orleans Saints. In between these episodes, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Ross Jackson, NOLA. Hit me up. Let me know how the family's doing. Let me know how you're living. Let me know how your mom and them. And trust you, that nation. I'll holla at you.